Okay, today we are going to talk a little bit about the subjunctive of emotions and feelings. And the subjunctive of emotions and feelings is conjugated in the same way that the subjunctive of influence. The only difference is the kind of subjunctive trigger that you're going to use. You're going to use verbs and impersonal phrases and phrases that express fear or surprise or regret or unhappiness, anger, sadness. So remember, you're going to need a principal sentence, a main sentence that includes the subjunctive trigger, which could be a verb or which could be a phrase, and you're going to need a subordinate subject or subordinate clause, which you are going to conjugate in the subjunctive. Okay, these are some of the verbs and expressions that show emotion, and you should familiarize yourself with them. You should be able to recognize them when you see them, because these expressions and these verbs are the ones who are going to tell you, yes, I'm going to conjugate the second verb in the subjunctive. Okay, let's see an example. This is a sentence in the subjunctive. We have two sentences, Talisa lamenta, and a second sentence, which is que su amigo Carlos esté enfermo. Now, do we have two subjects? Yes, we have Talisa and we have Carlos. Do we have two verbs? Yes, lamentar y estar. Do we have two subjects? Yes, Talisa y Carlos. Do we have a subjunctive trigger? Yes, we have a subjunctive trigger of emotion, which is lamentar, lamenta. Okay, she's sorry. She feels sad because her friend is sick. So because we're using lamenta in the first sentence, we're going to conjugate the verb in the subjunctive in the second sentence. Talisa lamenta que su amigo Carlos esté enfermo. Okay, this is another example of a subjunctive sentence. We have an impersonal phrase, okay, es fácil. Okay, and we have a second sentence or a subordinate sentence or subordinate clause, okay. Es fácil que el médico dé consejos sobre la salud. Now we have here two subjects, an implied subject and a second subject, two verbs. We have a subjunctive trigger of emotion, and we have this, therefore, we conjugate the second sentence in the subjunctive. Now, what happens when we only have one subject? Well, we already have talked about this. Carlos lamenta estar enfermo. When we have two verbs together and only a single subject, even if we have a verb that expresses emotion, a subjunctive trigger, we're going to conjugate the second sentence, or better, we are not going to conjugate the second sentence. We are going to leave it in the basic form, in the infinitive. Now, ojalá is a very special expression in Spanish. comes from the Arabic, and it means God willing. In English, it actually means I hope that. And you can use it, you can use the subjunctive immediately. You don't need two subjects, you don't need two verbs. Ojalá is a subjunctive trigger, and you can use it immediately after you see it. So this is like an exception of the rule that you need two sentences and two subjects and two verbs. When you have the expression ojalá, you can use the subjunctive immediately, okay? For example, we have the expression ojalá nos mantengamos en forma. Okay, we don't have two sentences here. We don't have two subjects, okay? We're talking about nosotros only. But since we have the expression ojalá, we immediately use the subjunctive, okay? Ojalá nos mantengamos en forma. Or you can also say ojalá que nos mantengamos en forma, and it's correct too. Okay, this is another example of the expression ojalá. Ojalá visites el spa en Bolivia. Or you also can say ojalá que visites el spa en Bolivia. You don't have two subjects here. You only have one, tú. Ojalá que tú visites el spa en Bolivia. But because we have the expression ojalá, we use the subjunctive as a matter of fact. Okay, let's practice a little bit the subjunctive of emotions, okay? And as I said, the only difference between the subjunctive of influence and the subjunctive of emotion is simply the kind of trigger, the kind of verb or phrase that triggers the subjunctive. Okay, the first sentence says, me alegra que tú ir de vacaciones a Europa. Okay, me alegra, I'm happy. There's emotion here. So you're going to conjugate the verb in the second sentence in the subjunctive, okay? So, me alegra que tú vayas de vacaciones a Europa. Es una lástima que la pizza tener tantas calorías. Now the phrase es una lástima means something like, oh, it's a pity that pizza that is so delicious has so many calories. So yes, okay, es una lástima, it's a subjunctive trigger of emotion, and you're going to conjugate the second verb in the subjunctive. Es una lástima que la pizza tenga tantas calorías. And the third sentence es lamentable que el mundo haber tanta pobreza. Okay, es lamentable. Okay, it's lamentable, it's sad. Okay, so therefore there's emotion involved. Therefore we have here a subjunctive trigger of emotion, and we are going to conjugate the second sentence, the verb in the second sentence in the subjunctive. Es lamentable que en el mundo haya tanta pobreza. Okay? If you have any questions, please let me know.